Hello everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining me this week. I'm just going to jump right into things here. I have a watch me work style video for you this week. So these nails are the nails that I did 3 weeks ago, I guess. One with Nail Basics and one using Light Elegance. And as you can see, other than the fact that I am a habitual picker and I've literally picked as much off of my cuticle area as I possibly could have, these have lasted really well. I have a little chip in my one index finger, and that's really just because I slammed my finger into a desk, and so that little chip is pretty minimal, and that happened 2 days ago. So these have lasted really well, and I wanted to show you though the lifting that's occurred. So one of my biggest pet peeves with photos on the internet is, you know, there'll be a picture that's full color and it says 4 weeks, no lifting. And I mean, it's great that the color still looks the same, there's no chipping, but you can't actually tell if there's lifting or not until you file that color off. So I've gone ahead and filed off all the color on these, and as you can see, there's really not a lot of lifting. There is a little bit, which is to be expected because this is just an overlay. There was no real supports put in at all, so it's just super thin on the clear gel here. But I am pretty impressed. Both manicure and flex have held up really well for this look. And so, I mean, I would suggest either of them if you have a client that is wanting just a clear overlay or wants gel polish that's going to last a little bit longer than the 10 to 14 days that you get out of regular gel polish. So all in all, both products are really amazing, and I'm really happy with both of the results here. So I have already prepped my cuticles before I started filing the color off here, but I'm just going to go ahead and actually remove all of the lifting that has occurred on this set before I get ready to apply some extensions today. Alright, so my prep is done, and you can see I've just removed anything that's lifted at all, and I have just left whatever product is still adhered well to my nail. There's no point in removing it if it still has a good bond. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually take my finish file from Light Elegance and just shape my natural nail a little bit. This just makes it easier in the long run for me. I'm just shortening things a little and giving them a nice shape. Of course, giving that a little cleanse with some after wipe, and we are ready to do this set. So I am going to use Light Elegance on one hand again and Nail Basics on the other. So I'm starting out with Light Elegance Tack on this hand as my primer. And that does get a quick 60-second cure in a UV light or 30 seconds in LED. And then coming in to build my nails, I'm using the Natural Fiber, and I really like this as an extension from Light Elegance. It's a natural color, so you don't get a weird look with your fill at all, and it is mixed in with pieces of fiberglass, so it does have a little bit of extra strength to it as well. So once I'm happy with the way my extension looks, I am giving that a quick flash cure. Usually about 30 seconds is good. You'll know that it's cured when you pull it out and you go to take the form off. The form will actually just pop right off of the extension. So I've gone ahead and finished the rest of the extensions on this hand with Natural Fiber, and the next step is one step. So this is comparable to the Nail Basics Flex Gel, and you just apply this to the whole nail. So adding in your structure and blending and doing your supports, everything is done with this one gel. And again, just freeze curing in between each finger, and then at the end I do a full 2-minute cure in UV or 1 minute in LED. So I've done the same thing on my next 3 fingers here, and then on this last one I want to do a full glitter. So I'm going to just paint on a really thin coat of the one step, and that just gives me a little bit of a barrier the next time I do my nails. So when I'm filing that glitter off next time, I'm not having to go all the way to the natural nail. I do have that one nice thin coat of one step underneath. So today I'm using the new color My Little Unicorn from the Enchanted Forest Summer Collection. And I will say that I personally find there to be a little bit too much gel to dot ratio in these glitters, but I still wanted to do a full nail with them because I think it looks cool anyway. So I did do 2 coats. They did end up a little thicker than I wanted, but such is life. That's the price you want to pay if you want a full nail of dots, I suppose. And just doing 2 coats of this, it just gives a little bit more dimension, and I just like the look of it with the dots sort of layered on top of each other. And after doing a full cure on that, just finishing off with a little bit more one step, just so that I have something to file and shape, and I'm not just going to file all the glitter off. And of course, giving that a full cure when you're done. So giving those a really good cleanse with some after wipe, and then coming in with my Erica's Diamond file, and this is a fully sterilizable file, so you can use it on all of your clients. You don't have to throw it out, and I hope you wouldn't because it is expensive, but it is fully worth it. I've had mine for a long time. Anyway, this file is also really great for perimeter shaping as it is quite rigid, so it gives you really nice straight lines. So just going around doing all my perimeter shaping on this hand. And now we get to do it all over again on the second hand. So of course, cleansing first, then my Nail Basics bonding agent is bondage. I like to apply 2 coats minimum, but you can use up to 5 coats of bondage. You'll know that it's enough when it looks sticky. And then applying a nice thin even coat, pillowing the Nail Basics first and last across all 5 nails and giving that a quick 20-second cure. And for the Nail Basics extensions, I'm using Vanilla, which is very similar in color to the Natural Fiber, and this is the gel that we recommend for extensions. And same technique here, just applying the extension onto the form. You do want to be careful not to get too much vanilla onto the nail bed as it can heat up quite a bit. But again, you'll know that it's cured when the form just nicely pops off of the extension. And I am doing another full glitter nail on this hand as well, and because I've already laid down that little layer of first and last, I don't have to put any other clear gel down. I can go right ahead and put my glitter on top of that. And then doing the fill portion with Nail Basics Flex. So I would say this is comparable to the one step as far as use goes, like what you're using it for, but consistency I do find really different. It is a little bit thinner and it's less sticky. I find that the one step you have to kind of roll it off with a brush to be able to work with it, and I find it's a little easier to get bubbles in it, where the Flex you can just use your bead right off of your brush and it's like liquid silk. It is so smooth to apply. I personally prefer it, but I mean there are lots of options out there, and I wanted to just do a comparison between these two because they are, in my opinion, the most similar as far as actual usage goes. So again, I have filled all the rest of my nails here. I'm giving a really good cleanse with some after wipe and then doing my perimeter filing with the Erica's Diamond file. So the next thing I like to do when I'm doing extensions is actually take my cone bit and file underneath. So this is taking out a little bit of bulk underneath, but it's also getting that line from where the natural nail and the product meet really smooth. So especially for people like me that we've learned I am a huge picker, it is important to get that line as flush as possible because people do tend to pick that, especially if it starts getting dirty, and then you can pick the entire extension right off of the nail. So you want to make sure you get that as smooth as possible. Next up is the arbor band, and I will just mention I did switch off my first arbor band here. You can see because I found it extremely vibraty. Your arbor band should not be vibraty. It should feel nice and smooth. Sometimes the seal isn't very good when they roll the bands up. So I just switched it out and my second one was way better. So using your arbor band, this is where you're doing the majority of your shape work. So you're really getting rid of a lot of that bulk, anywhere that you've applied a little bit too much product, and getting the final shape really into the nail. I will say these being extensions, I did make them a little bit thicker than I normally would, partly because they're an extension, also partly because it's been over a year since I've done my own nails. So these are a little bit on the thick side for my personal liking, but at the end of the day, they are still nice and strong. The structure is there, the integrity is there, and that's really what matters. The thinning out of the nails will come with my next fill, and it's always easier to get a nicer shape and a thinner nail once the natural nail is fully grown out and you don't have that extension to deal with as well. So next is the finish shape. So I'm using the Light Elegance 100/180 grit file here, and I like to use the 100 grit side first, and it just is easier to take down the product, really get the shape that I want, and then use the 180 side after to smooth out the edges. I just find the 100 grit is a little bit coarse, and so it doesn't leave quite as nice as the smooth edge as the 100 grit side. But this is where you're taking your time to make sure all the extensions are the same length and the same shape. And with square nails in particular, I actually do slightly taper them a little bit, and that little bit of a taper will just give you the illusion of a thinner nail. If you do a really straight square, it can tend to look a little bit chiclety and a little bit fat on the ends. So just giving a little tiny bit of a taper will give you a more natural look. But not least, coming in with my cross-cut ferrule. I use a medium grit. You're more than welcome to use coarse if you like. I just find medium is more than enough. And this is where you're really finessing the final shape of the nail. So you're getting rid of any bulk that might still be on the nail at all. Just really smoothing everything out so you have a nice even layer to apply your color to. Color, and I hope you enjoy this last part of the video. I want to just take a second to thank you for always liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the section below. And don't forget that you can also support us by liking us on Facebook and following us on Instagram.